welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. You're most likely new here because only 2% of my subscribers watch me, so there's that. This is going to be, I guess, a review on the 2019 Miata Roadster Grand Touring because, well, it's not going to be an in-depth one because I already did a review on the 2019 RF Miata, also a Grand Touring model. And so if you want to watch that video, I'll link that up top. However, this video, I'm going to be trying to answer a question, basically. Is there a definitive answer on whether the convertible or the RF is the better Miata to get? So that's what I'm going to try to answer here. Both very sprightly little cars. A lot of people like to complain that these cars aren't fast enough or whatever. Dude, both of these cars are some of the most rewarding vehicles I have ever driven in my entire life. And again, sorry, there is not a window cracked in here. That's just the natural wind buffeting that you get with this Roadster top. The biggest difference between both the RF and this soft top is the refinement, not the driving experience, because honestly, both of these cars, they drive pretty much identical to me. They pull pretty much identical. That weight difference, you don't really feel that. But what you do feel on a day-to-day basis is just how refined the RF Miata is. Now, what do I mean? That car is just so much more quieter. You know, when you have the top up in that thing, gosh, it's pretty much, it's not dead silent. However, compared to this, it pretty much might be. It just makes it a much better daily, if you will. I know for a lot of people, this is going to be your second car, basically. So it's not a huge deal. And, you know, it's not a knock against this car. This is still very satisfying to drive. Even with the top up, it's really not half bad. But it's just good to know that if you do get that RF model, it is going to be much more quieter, basically, of a driving experience. So that's good. However, when you have the top down, honestly, what's interesting to me is that they both feel very similar. If you have all the windows up and you have this stupid little flap thing up, in both of the cars, I think this might actually even be a little bit more refined with the top down. I don't know why that is, but your hair is not going to be quite flopping around, or your hat's not going to like fly off as easily. I don't know why, but you feel like there's better containment of the air when you have the top down in this than you do the RF. I don't know why, but they both feel really good. The other driving experience thing that kind of changed between the two is that in the RF Miata, it doesn't seem to quite roll as much. It seems a little bit more neutral to me. Some people say that the rear end is going to be a little bit more lively because of the soft top. There's less weight in the back. I don't know about that. I feel like they both can get their rear end loose if you push it hard enough. However, the thing with the RF is that it just feels a little bit more planted. And when you get both of these cars up to speed, like say past 60 miles per hour, this thing starts to like buff it like crazy, like wind noise wise. However, both of them feel pretty much planted in the road. Like it's not like the Toyota cars, let's say, because the Toyotas, the Corollas, the RAV4s, when I got them up to like highway speeds, gosh, they were like shaking around like crazy. The good thing is, even despite the small footprint of these cars, it still feels rather planted even at higher speeds. So that's a great thing. For a lot of people, this thing with the top up, it might be a little bit annoying for you. It's kind of like a Jeep Wrangler type of mentality. You know, there's just going to be that compromise with these types of vehicles, and you just have to accept it. These are laser focused on basically being some of the best drivers' cars, and that both of them are. And it's actually been one of my most favorite cars. Like this and that old like Mercedes E55 thing that I drove. These are my two most favorite cars I've driven, and I'm not joking about that. This manual is absolutely perfect. Yeah, this manual transmission, absolutely perfect. You know exactly what gear you're in every single time. It's got that little notchiness to it, and it's pretty short, very direct. Actually, the Mustang GT that I had last week, that also had like the similar kind of like notchy, like kind of click feel, like you kind of know what gear you're in type of feel. However, that thing had a very sloppy clutch. That manual experience was kind of deterred because of that. The clutch uptake is perfect. Everything about the driving of it, perfect. Like it's made for driving, and that it's perfect at. So if you love to drive, look nowhere else. This is one of the best driving experiences ever. Also, this motor is so satisfying to ring out. It's got a 7,500 RPM redline now. That's been improved for the 2019 model years, and obviously it's got the more power, 181 horsepower. I'm sure you know all about that, the power increase in this, but it's actually the 7,500 RPM. I love the way this motor likes to just scream its nuts off. It's just the most satisfying thing to hear. It sounds great too. It's got like this whininess to it, almost like it's supercharged or something. But yeah, this naturally aspirated 4-cylinder is just fantastic. The linearity of it, if that's a word, and just this manual transmission is just so satisfying to experience. It's genuinely my most favorite car that I've driven as of recently. However, one main difference I've noticed with this car and the RF is actually the brakes. Both of the cars I have were the Grand Touring models. No BBS, Brembo nonsense, just the regular Grand Tourings, which is a fully loaded model, mind you. But this car tends to kind of have like this squeak in the brakes a little bit. I feel like these things might have, what do you call it, metallic brake pads in it, because they do tend to squeak a little bit. I didn't really notice that with the RF. I don't know why that is. And that's slightly a heavier car too, about like 100 pounds or something. But they both stop extremely well. If you're used to driving like newer cars, this car doesn't quite have that like, you know, really hard bite point, like it gives you all the bite up front. It doesn't quite have that feel. You really have to like get into the pedal to get all the braking power, which, you know, that's kind of rare in a newer car. Also, I mentioned this in the, what do you call it, the RF review. You know, the 2019 Miatas, they went to an electric power steering, and, you know, this feels fantastic. I have no complaints with the steering whatsoever. The only actual thing I would probably mention is that the steering wheel could be a little bit smaller. You know, this kind of feels like a Mazda 6 kind of steering wheel. However, you know, whatever. That's nor here nor there. But yeah, honestly, guys, the biggest difference between both these cars, like I said, it's the ride quality. I think that might be a little bit more refined actually in the RF due to the more weight. I guess it's a little bit more balanced in the rear. But honestly, because they're the Grand Touring models, they're both ride rather good. Like, you get a lot of the shake in the car, like, you know what kind of terrain you're on basically, like for the driver anyway, you feel that. However, both of these cars are not a fatiguing driving experience. They're both, you know, you can sit in here for like an hour and you won't really feel too burnt out in here. It's still going to be a satisfying driving experience. Both these cars come with a leather seats. I'm going to talk more about that in the interior segment. Yeah, it's just how quiet it is. And it just feels nicer, the RF, I think, on a day-to-day driving experience. Yeah, I don't know. That's kind of like where I stand on these two models, basically. Little gear shifter thing here likes to vibrate a little bit. I like how it's got a little attitude on these cars. Now, I was going to say that one advantage that the Roadster would have over the RF is that the blind spots will be better with the top down, because obviously the RF is a target top when the top is down. You have like these old pillars. It's not a C pillar, I guess, in this car because it's a coupe. It's a B pillar, and it does take up a bit of a space in your blind spots, basically. So it's a little bit harder to see, but it's not too bad. You know, you can use the mirrors. You know, both these cars are very easy to, you know, plan and maneuver around town. That shouldn't be an issue. However, this car, even with the top down, because you have like these seats, basically, that pretty much acts as like your B pillar now. So that's kind of hard to see over. So it's not a perfect, you know. You don't have any blind spots. You do have this little seat to worry about. However, that's not really something to worry about. They're both very easy. You can easily drive this thing. It's not a huge issue. However, it's just something to note. But yeah, that pretty much does it for the driving segment. I think you guys pretty much get the point. The RF is just going to be the more refined vehicle. Maybe that's what RF stands for. I don't know. No, that's not what it stands for. But yeah, there you go. Let's go ahead and take a look at that interior, and we'll discuss a few other things as well. Well, I guess before getting into the interior, let's just go ahead and I'll show you these Bilstein shocks, kind of yellow back there. See them? I think the Sport, the club models, they will be a little bit more uncomfortable than this Grand Touring model. They're more of the sport tune. So if you want the most comfortable Mazda Miata, this is pretty much going to be it, the Grand Touring models. Now, as I said, there is no Brembo BBS package on it. The only reason why I would even consider getting that is because maybe in the not the aftermarket, maybe like when you go to resell it, it might hold a little bit better value. I don't know, but something to consider. Honestly, the only reason why I would probably pick this car, like with this top right here, is because of the price. Obviously, if I bought a Miata, I'd probably option it out like this and just get the base model for like 26 grand. That's probably what I would do, to be honest, because this car is probably best like in its most simplest form, and it will have cloth seats, so there is that. But the only other reason why I would want to get the BBS Brembo package is so I can get these leather seats. These leather seats are actually really nice. They are extremely comfortable seats. Usually Mazda seats are, and it is this leather. It does look very nice. It's got like the bows in the headrest here for the speakers. This is a steering wheel, like I mentioned. Wish it could be a little bit smaller, but maybe I think that because, you know, this cabin is so small, so maybe the steering wheel kind of stands out to me a little bit. I don't know. But another thing that I love, and if you want to see a more in-depth look at the interior of the Mazda Miata, consider checking out the RF video. This is just going to be like a brief overview, just basically show you, but otherwise both of these interiors are exactly the same. The only difference is because this car is white, it has like this white finish right here on the top. I love that. Same metallic flakes and all that the exterior paint has here. Very cool. I love that. So I'm getting in. I'll show you how to put the top down and up. It's really rather easy, but getting in and out of this thing, not the easiest thing. You make that compromise with this. Actually, another thing to note about these seats is that you can't actually adjust them like up and down. It's only at its most bottom position here, and then you get in and you have like this recline function, and like you can put this seat up like a little bit higher. However, that's it. You can't actually put the physical seat up. But with that, I have plenty of headspace actually. Headroom is actually not half bad, even at 5'11", so that's pretty good. You got your little gauges here, infotainment. Again, if you want to see all this stuff, just watch the RF video. It's pretty much the same thing. This absolutely fantastic, the best 6-speed manual transmission I have ever experienced in my entire life. So that is huge praise right there. That's the best thing about this car. Of course, you know, physical handbrakes and stuff, amazing. And this great clicking motions. You know, Mazdas have always had like this very nice premium feel to the everything you touch in the interior. Yes, you know, being the Miata, a lot of this stuff is plastic, more so than in the other models. However, you know, it's still not bad. It's still a very nice interior for what this is. I mean, this thing isn't exactly cheap, you know, it's like 34 grand, 35 grand or whatever, but I'm just saying, it's a pretty nice interior for what you get. Don't mind my little camera set up there, but yeah, seats, very comfortable. Manual transmission is great. Infotainment is pretty good. I like how they gave you the smallest screen because this is a driver's car. You shouldn't be too worried about stuff like that anyway. But the ergonomics are very nice. I like the look out from here. Even though the seat is set to the bottom position, you still have a great look out. And you have these little haunches right here to kind of let you know like how to position the car. Very nice. It's totally built for driving, and I love it. I did listen to the Bose speaker system. It was pretty nice. Like I said, there are speakers in the headrest. I don't really hear that too much, but yeah, it's a fine sounding sound system. Not the best, but pretty good. The other Mazda products have a better sound system that are also branded as Bose. So that's pretty much a overall look at the interior. I do like these climate control vents too. So let's just go ahead and look at that boot space and end this review off. All right, well, here you have it. This is the boot space. It's actually identical to the RF. You do not gain anything by going for this soft top here. Even when you have this folded in, it does not affect anything. This is simply the boot space that you're going to be left with, and it's not honestly too bad. As you can see, I have all my camera gear in here. You know, you can definitely fit, like, I would say maybe a carry-on. I would like to say that, but that might be a stretch too. Golf clubs, I don't know, you might have to put that in the passenger seat, but yeah, there you go. Trunk space, like I said, you know, I thought that would be the advantage of the RF, but it's not. Like the Corvette is pretty much like a Target top, however, that gets a hatchback setup. This one, the Miata RF does not get anything like that. So let's go ahead and end this review off with the final conclusions. So I guess wrapping up, I guess I should tell you the truth. I actually hated filming this car in the week that I've had it. Why? Because every time I looked at it, I just wanted to get in and drive it, to be honest. It just begs to be driven, and I absolutely love this car. The main difference is, you know, as you saw, it's pretty much what I mentioned. The refinement of the RF and the boot space is pretty much the same. And honestly, driving on the streets, is there a big difference? Not really. Is that refinement something that you want to pay up a couple grand for? I don't know. That's going to be up to you. Honestly, you know, despite the advantages of the RF, I still think that this Roadster with this top is a great choice in itself. However, I do have to admit, if you are going to go for this model right here, make sure you have a place to park this, like inside of a garage or in a parking deck or something like that, because if you don't, a team of pigeons will find this and they will take advantage of this top as a porter potty, and they will just absolutely annihilate it. So if you don't want that to happen to your Miata, I would suggest you park it inside or find some kind of parking arrangements, but that should go without saying. The RF, you know, that is an advantage. You don't have to worry so much about the top getting dirty or anything like that, or wiping that down. You know, it does cost a lot more, and like I said, you can get this base model with this top for like 26 grand, and maybe a little bit less if you ordered through like a Mazda dealership, I don't know. But I think both cars look fantastic. I think the RF probably gets a little bit more of a boost in the looks department, because the way it looks in the back, it looks a little bit more exotic, I think, the RF. And it actually did get a little bit more looks and heads turning, even though it was a black car, than this car did. So, you know, if that matters to you, there you go. But I think no matter which Miata you choose, either this or the RF, you're not losing here. It's really a last car of its type, basically. You know, there is the FRS and stuff like that, but I think this is just the more lively car. This is just going to be like that more fun car. The engine is more fun to just ring out. It gets fantastic gas mileage, like 30 mpg with me pounding this thing around. That is seriously impressive. Any of these V8 muscle cars, Camaros, Mustangs, you're going to be getting half of that if you pound that thing around. So that is a big advantage to this Miata. And honestly, I hate to say this, but it's really going to be up to you which one you decide is better. I honestly just enjoy driving both, so there's my conclusions there. If money was no object, yeah, I might probably go for the RF, but with the price difference between the two, I would have to go with this. But that's really up to you. You make that choice. Owners, I would like to hear from you, whether you've driven both of these cars. That would be a great insight, basically. So leave your thoughts down below. I'd like to take a brief moment to thank Capital Mazda of Cary for letting me do the black RF Miata. That was really nice of them for letting me do that. I was actually going to go back there and get this, but since I got it as a press car instead, I was able to do this kind of comparison video for you of which one might be better for your needs, the RF or this. So I hope that helps. Maybe I'll do another video with the this Miata a little bit later, maybe talking about driving a manual transmission, but we'll see. But for now, that'll be the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Goodbye.